I found Temple Isaiah 15 years ago. After my mother passed away, my mother was living here in the desert. In 1995, my husband and I moved here, and in that same year, my mother passed away. We buried her back east, and when I came back to the desert, I decided I wanted to say Kaddish for her every morning and came to Temple Isaiah. Was welcomed and greeted and began coming to the morning minyan almost every day. And during that 11 months that I was here, I realized something. That in the past, my mother had really done my Judaism for me. I grew up in a conservative home, I was bat mitzvahed, but as an adult, I never really was an active participant in the synagogue. I would observe the holidays, I would go to occasional Friday night services, but I was not an active member of any synagogue. And I realized at that point that Mom did it for me, and if I wanted to have that experience, I had to step up to the plate. I was asked by Rabbi Offsider, who was the rabbi at the time, if I would be willing to serve on the board. And I said yes, and through a series of rather strange circumstances, 6.5 years ago, I became president of Temple Isaiah. I don't think this is exactly what Mom had in mind in terms of my carrying on the Jewish tradition. I think she would have said, I don't think you have to be president to prove the point, but I did, and I served for 3 years as president of the board and then for 3 years as a board member. In my experience of temples, I remember as a child coming into a synagogue and having a special feeling that I didn't have outside of the synagogue. And Temple Isaiah offers that. It offers that place away from the secular world, a place away from the mundane, everyday activities of our lives. I come here on Friday night and I am transformed into a different place, into a spiritual place, into a place where I can forget about everything else except my purpose of being here on this earth and what spirituality and God means to me. And it's an emotional experience. I think that having grown up with Judaism as the basis for my ethical and moral behaviors, as an adult, I now find the way to express that here in Temple Isaiah. I think the uniqueness of Temple Isaiah is in the friendship and in the warmth and the warm and cuddly feelings that you get from people. You come here and everyone is kind of stripped of their outside. And you come here and we are all Jews. And that's our common denominator. And that's a good feeling. That's a feeling of belonging. That's a feeling of finding your place. Friday night is a wonderful, wonderful, joyous, musical, uplifting experience. Saturday morning services are traditional, if that's the need that someone has for going back and finding those roots. Shabbos dinners when they occur, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the traditional experience that we all grew up with comes to light here in Temple Isaiah. I think the uniqueness of Temple Isaiah is the commitment to being relevant in today's society. Rabbi Sally came to us 5 years ago, and the term that she and I talked about, because I was on the search committee and president of the synagogue when she was hired, was we want to be relevant. We want to be here traditionally, but in a way that today young people, old people, middle-aged people can all find their place here. And I think that that's the key. Temple Isaiah is relevant, it's all inclusive, it's all accepting, and it really personifies what we want Judaism to be in our lives today.